All right, so I don't know how to start this video. I got a FaceTime call in the middle of the night from a woman that I've known for a few years. She's married, she's over 40, and she wanted to talk. And when I asked her if I could just come stay with her in the hospital, she said no because of obvious reasons, being married. But with that said, that has nothing to do with today's video other than I have no idea what the artwork looks like in the background. But remember, for all of you people who keep asking me, why that image? All the women on this channel in the AI art represent Susie Rottencrotch. So therefore, that's why she looks the way she does. So today's video is based on the comment that you guys are seeing up on the screen right now. HAL 9000 Space Computer. This guy's favorite expression on the channel is crew crew expendable, I think is his thing, but I think that some of his comments are very good, especially this one. The proles in my South Texas border town are getting vicious, angry, and a bit feral. The poverty rate is at least 1 in 3. The proles won't be happy when they become homeless and prone to stealing. That's the thing, people. As the tariffs kick in, as prices rise faster than you can possibly imagine, things are going to get much worse for poor people. Poor people like you and me. We're the ones that are going to face the brunt of higher prices on everything. Rich people don't think about the cost of a candy bar, but you do. I do. When a candy bar goes to $5 and gas is $10, we're the ones who are not going to be able to make it. I talk a lot on this channel about not being able to afford to work. It's just right around the corner. So let's get into our monologue really quick. Look around. Does this feel like a society that's working? People are getting angrier, more desperate, and less willing to play by the rules because the game is rigged. You can't expect people to stay civil when they can't afford rent, food, or even a basic sense of security. And when survival becomes a free for all, the question isn't if chaos is coming, it's when. This is something that all of you should think about. It's not about when it's coming, it's about it's here now. Everything about our society is getting worse. And to me, the biggest crisis out of all of this is feeling like when I have to eat something that I can afford, it feels like I'm just taking 2 handfuls of dirt and shoving it in my mouth and trying to remember what food tastes like. Because I don't know what food tastes like anymore. I just ate some pasta that I bought from Kroger's yesterday. Didn't taste like food. Didn't taste like anything I remember. And for sure, it didn't taste good. And that's everything. That's a metaphor for our entire society. Nothing about our world tastes good anymore. From jobs to relationships to just sitting at home. Nothing feels good anymore. I can't sit at home and think, oh, I'm just going to relax today. That just doesn't happen anymore. We're constantly thinking about how to make more money. In fact, right now, this thing that I'm doing right now, the sole purpose for making this thing, this video, doing all of this work, whether it's the script, the art, or just me talking, this is all based on making more money because I need more money. My rent is going to go up by another $500 by the end of this month. I need to make up that money. I know food is going to go up. I need to make up that money. That's what we spend all of our time is trying to figure out how to increase our regular normal day by infusing it with more money. And it's always about trying to get more money. At no point in your day should you ever stop and think, oh, you know what? I can just not think about it. You always have to think about it because everywhere you go in society has a fee associated with it. Everything you do. And it's gotten to the point where you're not allowed to, in a sense, go to sleep with peace of mind. You go to sleep and you're agitated. You get up at night. You think about other people. I think about people suffering all the time, constantly. I get up in the middle of the night to talk to ChatGPT. I I spend more of my time talking to artificial intelligence than any person I know. I think it's become my best friend because there's nothing else. It's all that we can afford. We can't afford anything real anymore. We can't afford the real relationships that we go out there and we spend time with regular people because it's too expensive. We have to sit at home in our virtual worlds and pretend that we're okay. But the reality is, the more we tell ourselves to calm down, the worse it gets when the realization hits us hard that things aren't looking good for us. Nothing will change unless the proletariat rises up. And I still feel like the anger is there. It's just people are scared. Talking point number one: desperation breeds lawlessness. When people have nothing left to lose, they stop following the rules. I've said this for years. The greatest sense of freedom is to be able to squat down anywhere you want in this country and just take a massive dump. Because otherwise, you're not free. If I have to go into that little room, close the door, and pretend I'm not doing my business, that's not freedom. When you lose everything, you gain a sense of openness in your mind. The ability to go number one while staring at at someone driving by. That actually happened to me on Christmas Day. I was out filming for some reason. I like to film retail stores during the holidays when people keep going to the store on Christmas Day and they don't understand why it's closed. That sense of not understanding why they can't get the thing that they want just baffles me. But I was riding past the public library on my bike, and there's a homeless guy on the west side of the Tempe library. And as I got closer to him, he stops in the middle of the road. A police officer just passed him seconds before, and he just whips it out and just starts letting it fly as if nothing mattered. That is true freedom, my friends. True freedom is being able to just whip it out and just just let it flow. While he looks at me riding past him on my bike as I film this with my GoPro. It was a terrible situation, but that's where we're at. Following the rules is something that the rich hope that poor people do. They hope that people won't stop and think. When people stop and think, that's when people start to realize that, you know what? Following the rules has never worked out for me. It means I have a crummy job. It means I have a crummy place to live. And the relationships I can't afford to have aren't very good either. Everything about life sucks. So the rules are in place to make certain that people drive in their lane, go to their jobs, and procreate to make the next generation of people who will do the same thing. Obey the rules. But when people reach a breaking point, when they know the rules are there, not to keep them safe, but to control them, that's when the rules have to break. And that's what we're seeing more and more in society, is people are coming to the realization that the rules are not there to benefit them in any conceivable way. And people don't like that. I have seen more strange behavior on the streets in this past year of people just who reach a point in which, you know what? I don't like this. No one says I don't have to obey the rules. That's what I'm thinking in my head. When I see a car just jump into another lane, go around all of the traffic, and then cut in front of everyone so that they can be the first to get through the light. I've seen that more often than not. I've seen people passing other cars in the middle lane on a regular day. I saw a car go around traffic and start driving in the opposite lane just because they didn't want to stop. Like the amount of crazy stuff I've seen, like I just don't understand what's going on inside their heads. But it must come down to either substances or just people realizing that the rules aren't for them. Talking point number 2, a system designed to keep you struggling. If poverty was accidental, they would have fixed it by now. Poverty is part of this system. It's part of the rules. It's part of what causes you to obey. Poverty is a necessary control mechanism by which it keeps people going to miserable, low-paying jobs. Because the vast majority of us aren't comfortable. And it's not an accident. Record profits every year for all of the billion-dollar corporations isn't an accident. The byproduct of record profits for corporations is poverty for the vast majority of people. It's baked right in. Fixing a problem that isn't real to the people that make the rules, well, what's the point? There's never any money when it comes to poverty. There's always plenty of money when it comes to giving aid to other countries, when it comes to the military, when it comes to what rich people and policymakers want. And the strange part is, they're just regular people. Just like you and me. They got what am I going to call it? They have a turd cutter in the back, just like you and me. They eat just like you and me, except they're blinded by their own greed. Why fix poverty when it's working so well for you? Why are politicians so wealthy? Because it takes money to get into politics, and once you get in, you're not going to take into consideration what's best for society. You're going to take into consideration what's best for the people like you, the other rich people. We live in a society that it's never cared about its poor people, and it never will. Because again, it's not an accident that we're all broke. This system functions the way it was designed to work. And the way that it works is by crushing the people who can't get out of the way. And that's intentional. Talking point number 3, society on the brink of a breaking point. People aren't just angry. They're furious, desperate, and exhausted. History shows that when enough people suffer, society collapses. When people start seeing no point in continuing to get on the hamster wheel, to spending day and night in the wage cage, watching people you know suffer, knowing full well that going to work is never going to make you rich, and that regardless of how hard you work, the benefits, the comfort, the job security that you want will never be part of your life. As a person who's worked my whole life, and I look around this room to see what I have, what do I have? Nothing. There's nothing in this room that has made my life worthwhile. All I can remember is all of the thousands of hours I've spent working, only to have nothing. There's truly nothing in this room. I could be sitting in a completely empty room right now with 4 bare walls, and it wouldn't look any different. This is a prison cell, but I'm being told that I'm free and that I have choice, that I can make the choice not to live in poverty. But nearly every day, someone comes into my comment section and tells me that they don't want to be poor anymore, that they're tired of working hard for nothing, and that they just want to be rich. They just don't care what it takes. They just don't want to suffer anymore. They just want to be rich. And by saying you want to be rich, it doesn't mean you want gold. You don't want to be a dragon on a pile of gold coins. It means you just want to stop working, enjoy your life, and not have to have those 3 a.m. panic attacks like I do, wondering how you're going to pay your rent. Because all of us feel that way. I think it was the year 2009 when the financial system had just collapsed and many people were collecting unemployment benefits because there were no jobs. I remember walking up to an ATM machine and someone had left their receipt. And I knew that person worked at Sprouts because it was in the same parking lot as where that store was. It was the Chase Bank of McClintock and Southern. I picked up the receipt that they had left there, and they had like 50 cents in their bank account. And I thought to myself, I've seen this person for years working in that grocery store. This is all the money they have in their bank account. And I will never forget that moment because even though I was broke at the time, I still had more than 50 cents in my bank account. This is a person that I have seen working full time in that grocery store that didn't have the ability to buy something to eat. And they worked in a grocery store. I would see that repeated many times throughout the rest of my life while I worked in retail. Is people working full time in food that couldn't afford to eat. And it's something that still bothers me to this day is thinking about working people who can't escape and reaching a point in their lives, a breaking point in their lives where they have to come to a certain realization that working doesn't work for them. Talking point number 4. What happens when people give up? Well, we've seen them. I've seen people laying down face first on the sidewalk outside of a business. Not once, not twice, but many times as I've ridden my bike around the city. Homeless people that have no place to go. They don't even have a card. It's just them out there with the clothes on their back. But regardless of whether or not they have anything, they still have to go to sleep. And when society has tossed them away, all they can do is for some reason, human beings will still come back to a society that doesn't want them. Instead of going out into the wilderness away from society, there's something social that remains inside of homeless people. And they want to stay close, regardless, because they know if they go out into the wilderness, that's pretty much giving themselves a sentence to the end. But as long as they stay close enough to other human beings, they can get water, they can take food, they can still stay alive. And at the end of the day, isn't that what we're all trying to do? Because a hungry person will steal, a desperate person will destroy. That's exactly what I wanted to hear in the script. This is how the AI ended this particular script. A desperate person will destroy. And rightfully so. When a system doesn't benefit you in any conceivable way, what other option do you have other than to destroy? Because sure, you can go walk into a Kroger's, eat whatever you want inside the store. That's a great thing. It's like if you take it and you carry it inside of your stomach out the door, they can't push your stomach to push out the food that you just ate. That's how a lot of people get by. Is they walk around in the store pushing a shopping cart, eating, and then once they get done, they leave the shopping cart and walk out. Remember, I worked at Walmart for 2.5 years. I saw this every day. Every single day you'll see someone. And it doesn't have to look like a homeless person. I've seen regular people do this because they're hungry, they can't afford anything to eat, and they're just going to steal. But what really excites me is the point of desperate people destroying things. Because that's what we should do as human beings. When something is so crooked, like the current system, desperate people need to take action. Desperate people like you need to take action. Because unless you're willing to act, there is no other thing that you can do. Desperate people need to destroy.